Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our public hearing for the county's FY 2025 proposed operating budget. As most of you probably know, but we do it for the record, I'm Libby Garvey, Chair, joined by my colleagues, Vice Chair Takis Karantonis, Matt DeFranti, who I'm sure will join us in just moments, Susan Cunningham, and Maureen Coffey. And as you probably all know, past several weeks, the board's held a number of work sessions to discuss budget recommendations. We've also heard from many of our advisory commissions. We have a few more to go. Our role this evening is to hear from citizens, y'all, if you're in Arlington County, on the community's needs, programs, and services which are most important to you. No action is going to be taken tonight on the budget, and because this is a public hearing, we're not going to provide responses to speakers, so we're really in listening mode and note-taking mode. After tonight, on Thursday, we'll have another work session in the afternoon, and in the evening, we will hold a public hearing on the proposed tax rates and various fees and code amendments. And the online sign-up for Thursday's hearing is available on the County Board's website or in the County Board office. Here you can see, I think our Deputy Clerk is out in the hall. I think Mason Kushner, you can see him about that, or call 228-3130, 703 area code. And you may also sign up in person between 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. that evening. So I think I'll just summarize. We're going to act on the proposed operating budget, as you probably all know, and the tax rate and associated fees and code amendments at our April 20th regular meeting. And that might be carried over to the 24th recessed meeting, depending on how all of the discussion goes. And please keep in mind that this year, April's recessed meeting will be on Wednesday, not Tuesday. And finally, before we hear from you all, we're going to hear a brief presentation for all of us from the County Manager, Mark Schwartz. Mr. Schwartz.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I've asked Richard Stevenson to quickly summarize the 1,100-page budget in about 3 minutes. Go ahead, Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. So first slide, thank you. So fortunately, over the last year, we continue to see an improvement in local tax revenues following the economic downturn of the pandemic. In the county manager's proposed budget, he did include a 1.5-cent tax rate increase recommendation to fund several critical programs and support schools' needs. Subsequently, the board advertised a tax rate in February with an additional 1-cent increase to consider with the community to allow for the flexibility and the uncertainty in the state budget process. Expense pressures still exist in many programs and services provided to the community, and the proposed budget continues investments in a variety of these priority areas. Looking ahead, beyond FY 2025, we will continue to focus on the areas of revenue and expense which may continue to see some pressure due to demand, inflation, interest rates, and other macroeconomic factors. So overall, the proposed general fund budget is just over $1.6 billion. For our average residential property owner, this would equate to an increase in their real estate tax bill of 4.7%, which includes both the appreciation in property value and the recommended change in the manager's proposed budget. Including other taxes and fees paid by residential property owners, the total tax and fee increase is estimated at $500 for this next coming fiscal year. As I mentioned on the previous slide, the advertised rate, which will have the public hearing, as the chair mentioned, will consider a base rate of $3.8 per $100 of assessed value on real estate. And if adopted at this level, the average increase for all taxes and fees would be approximately $582. This year, as we tried to calculate what the inferred impact might be on those living in apartments, with the average change in apartment values, these properties would see an increase of 6.6%. Aside from real estate tax revenues, almost all our other taxes showed continued improvement over the current fiscal year. And then for the tax rates, again, as mentioned by the chair, and fees proposed being heard on Thursday, the advertised rate will be the maximum rate the board will be able to adopt later in April. So again, this slide just shows the general fund budget totaling $1.62 billion, and is shown here broken out between county operations and the transfer of funding to schools. Both of these totals include a combination of one-time and ongoing monies. So, balancing the budget this fiscal year. As the manager went through the process of developing the proposed budget, a number of levers were used to come to provide the balanced budget proposal. A variety of service and program reductions were necessary, just over $10 million. The January 2024 real estate values came in higher than anticipated, and other taxes continued to perform well. Unfortunately, we are still struggling to fill positions throughout the organization, with some of these vacancies are expected to continue into FY 2025. So the proposed budget does assume some budgetary vacancy savings in it. Also, the proposed budget continues the prudent use of one-time funds in supporting the operations in the budget. And finally, with the revenue generated from the manager's proposed tax rate increase, this will put on solid footing a number of high-priority community program needs with ongoing monies. Quickly summarizing our timeline, this lays out the budget process since the budget was proposed in February and that we've been going through with the board over the last several weeks. Tonight and Thursday evenings we're hearing the testimony input from our community on this budget, and the process will again conclude later this month with budget adoption at the April board meeting in the new fiscal year beginning July 1st. And then finally, sharing with those joining us tonight where they can find additional information about the budget. The county's budget webpage has many resources, including both video and written materials summarizing budget recommendations in the proposed budget, and we have added a QR link here in the presentation that links to the sites. And with that, I will turn it back over to the chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Thank you very much. I think we're ready to get started. Just a few words. I see a lot of veteran speakers here, but I know some of you, I think, are new at this, so I'll just go over the podium here. The height can be adjusted. There's an up and down arrow buttons on the right of the podium when you come up, so you don't have to lean way over or stand on your tippy toes if it's not right for you, so feel free to arrange it as you wish. Please do speak directly into the microphone so everybody can hear you. If you're submitting documents as part of your testimony, you can give them to our clerk here to my right. And please put your name and contact information on the documents if you would. For remote speakers, and we have a number of those, please keep your microphones muted and your cameras off till you're called to speak. And then folks who are participating virtually, you will need to unmute yourself, hitting *6 if you're on the phone, or if you're using your computer, just hit the microphone button on the bar. And I think that's it. We do say repetitious testimony is discouraged. It's nice, if you can say you agree with somebody, that's absolutely fine. If you, really agree with what somebody says, we do want to keep it moving, but feel free to do a silent cheer. That's fine. The buzzer will sound when your time's up, and please do finish your comments then, just simply because we've got so many people here who would like to speak to us. And then finally, those who want to submit written statements, you can send them to us, the county board at arlingtonva.us. And of course, we have open door Mondays when you can speak to us. We're available in a lot of ways. And I think with that, we're ready to get started. And Madam Clerk, why don't you call the first two speakers?
Yes, our first speaker is Pete Scampavia, followed by Sherry Takamoto.
Hi, I'm Pete Scampavia. I'm 36 and a half years old, and I live in an apartment for 7 years, and I have 2 jobs. I qualify for Medicaid waiver, and also the PI program. When I was a baby, my parents was very good for the PI program.
Thank you very much for coming. Ready for our next speaker?
Our next speaker is Sherry Takamoto, followed by Tony Striner.
Hi, I'm Sherry Takamoto. Many of you know me. I'm proud mom of this young man over here. And I'm here also to ditto what Pete said, or wave my hand, because we think that the PI program needs permanent funding for the service coordinators. PI program was very, very good to us when Pete was a baby, and he's done very well. We want to pay it forward. So please consider funding those 2 positions. I'm also going to ask you for another 2 positions, because after 25 years of waiting, we are finally getting more Medicaid waivers to allow people like Pete to live independently in the community. That's going to take some work. Most of the work for the service coordinators are funded through Medicaid back to the county, so it isn't as big of an ask. And the only reason that our CSB Chair, Deborah Warren, did not ask for this money is because we never expected in a gazillion years that the governor would put the slots in the budget. So now that he's done it, now that our folks have seconded it, please support that. As well as we've asked for, the county is planning for 2 new day programs, and we want to work with the county to make sure that those are inclusive programs, not in office buildings. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tony Striner, followed by Cecilia Klein.
All right. Good evening, members of the County Board and everyone here in attendance. I'm here to speak on the shortfall in mental health funding and the proposed FY25 budget. Myself, in addition to many other volunteers through Voice, engaged in over 250 listening sessions throughout APS schools. And one very real, disturbing truth was made known, is that this mental health crisis that's affecting the country is affecting every student at Arlington Public Schools. Now, in the current plan to address this crisis, there's a mix of status quo funding, which is obviously not working, in addition to one-time funding that is set to expire and leave these very vulnerable students out to dry and eventually, in some cases, out to die. Funding is not only needed to address the most extreme cases and most extreme cases of intervention like the current proposal has, but it's also needed to address early stage intervention. People need to feel like they have help before they find themselves in the back of an ambulance. They may feel the weight of trying to get into a good college, or trying to put food on the table for their family, or the weight of their coursework, which grows by the years. And because of this, early prevention is needed. And ongoing funding for educational programs and after-school programming is essential for these students to stay away from these dangerous drugs in the first place, before they even get hooked. And it helps build a sense of community that is very much needed in these spaces. Now, the county's been able to find funds in the past for crises, in 2008, in 2020, and now here we find ourselves in another crisis, and yet there's no money to be found. If we keep shortchanging our youngest generation, the bright, rosy future that we outlined in Arlington 2050, that's not coming. And so in order to do that, we need to invest the regular, consistent, ongoing funding of $2 million per year that Voice has outlined.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Cecilia Klein, followed by Blair Moorhead.
My name is Cecilia Klein. I'm co-president of the Arlington Special Education Parent-Teacher Association, SEPTA, speaking on behalf of the families, students, and staff members from the special education community. SEPTA strongly opposes the plan to eliminate the Behavior Intervention Services Program, BIS. This program works directly with families in the school, home, and community. There is no comparable service available. We have checked. Have you asked APS if they can provide similar support to the families who use this service? We have. I can confidently tell you they cannot. APS refers parents on a weekly basis to the BIS program. The 5 behavior specialist positions in APS are already overstretched, serving over 28,000 students. And they do so exclusively at school supporting the teachers. It is not their job, nor do they have the capacity to work with students and families in their homes. Libraries, parks, and rec playgroups were also listed as alternatives that families could supposedly rely on in the absence of the BIS program. But many families cannot even go to libraries or participate in playgroups precisely because of the behaviors that the BIS program supports families to manage. To be clear, this program serves families of children with and without disabilities, including families from all income levels, English and non-English speaking families. So the reach is broader than any existing program in Arlington or elsewhere. However, the elimination of the BIS would disproportionately and inequitably impact children with disabilities in Arlington. Our members have said the BIS program has improved their relationships with their children, saved marriages, and quite frankly, saved lives. We are talking about critical interventions that almost inherently have to be implemented in the home setting. This program works.
Thank you.
Reinstate funding for the BIS program.
Next speaker is Blair Moorhead,
thank you.
followed by Joseph Warren.
Hi, I'm Blair Moorhead, and I live in Barcroft with my husband and my almost 4-year-old son. I am a pastor at First Presbyterian Church Arlington and Fairlington Presbyterian, where I get to support congregants in connecting with their neighbors. I love living in Arlington. I'm so grateful for the resources we have and the intention behind their provision, the intention displayed here tonight. And increasingly, I so appreciate the opportunities for kids. Which is why when I see our kids suffering in our county, when we know there are actual deaths due to overdoses in our schools, when we mourn the passing of Jorge and Sergio, I know we need to do more. So I am here to ask the county to fully fund at $2 million the daily after-school programming that Voice, NAACP, and ASHPA have been fighting for. As not only a pastor but a social worker, I have seen firsthand what it means when people do not have such opportunities. When I was a therapist working in DC, I saw daily the devastating challenges that can grow when resources are not in place for creating community, when resources are not in place for safe opportunities for youth. I wonder what life would have been like for the folks I worked with if they had had such places to flourish as youth. And I wonder what the future will be like for my kid, who in a few years will go to Kenmore and then Wakefield. And I wonder what life will be like for his friends. I wonder what will happen without such safe, free, and accessible after-school spaces. We can't just wonder and hope for the best. Let's invest in our kids and the infrastructure they need. Let's build the consistent, free, daily, quality community with the after-school programming that they can thrive in. Let's fully fund this after-school initiative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Joseph Warren, followed by Andrew Merrill.
Good evening, board members. As a 10-year member of Arlington's Transit Advisory Committee and 3-year member of the Transportation Commission, I have been concerned about the steadily increasing costs of the ART bus network, 2 primary routes and 14 secondary routes. In the last 5 years, costs have accelerated due mostly to increased service, including weekends. Operating costs have increased from about $12 million in fiscal 2018 to $23 million in fiscal 23. The 2025 to 34 strategic plan proposes to add service for the number 75, 77, 41, 45, and also establish a new ART 85. As a TAC member in 2013, I asked in several meetings about poorly performing routes, such as a 62 and 53. Staff acknowledged there was a problem. Finally, for fiscal 25, the manager's proposed budget will eliminate the 62 and restructure 53 and 61. Still, net service costs would increase by almost $2.3 million. Let's look at cost recovery. For the 2 primary routes, cost recovery was 15%. The goal is 35%. For the 14 secondary routes, the cost recovery was 6%. The goal is 20%. Cost recovery has decreased greatly since fiscal 22. During the fiscal 2014 to 17 period, recovery was 47%, and for the secondary transit was 21%. Also, another measure of efficiency is passengers per revenue hour. This is also both routes, primary and secondary, are far below the goals. For the 14 secondary routes, the best was number 45 at 13 passengers per hour. In conclusion, while many poorly performing routes, with many, the proposed service additions should be postponed. And this is the time for a serious look at microtransit for poorly performing routes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Andrew Moreau, followed by Brian Lynch.
Hi, I'm Andrew Merrill. I serve as rector of St. Mary's Episcopal Church here in Arlington, and I'm privileged to be in my 40th year of service in that parish, which means I've seen a lot of change in Arlington over the past 40 years. And it's fair to say that perhaps the biggest change over that time is Metro. And at least the county board only has to wrestle with funding issues here in Arlington. I understand that Metro has lots of different jurisdictions, but I think we need to think about this $2 million sum to support our young people, especially our young people at risk, in the same way that we think about funding Metro. It's messy. It means not everything can be funded, but you gotta have Metro. I would argue that these kids, it's not just an investment in their future, they really are Arlington at our finest. And we've always been a community that insists that we will look out for the least amongst us. So I just ask that we not sort of see the pandemic over, because it's not. And its ravages continue, especially in our young people and our young people at risk. So this is an opportunity for the board, not simply to put a Band-Aid here in the short term, but to say this is basic investment, basic infrastructure in human beings. If we can keep Metro running, we can sure make sure these kids have a future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Brian Lynch, followed by John Musso.
Good evening. My name is Brian Lynch. I'm here tonight as president of the Arlington Professional Firefighters and Paramedics Association, Local 2800 of the IFF. It is my honor to represent over 350 of our members, your firefighters. We're here tonight because your fire department is in crisis due to record vacancies. We need you to do the right thing, not just by your firefighters and their families, but also by the families and businesses we protect. Over a year ago, an arbitrator gave us a middle ground path forward. Last year, we got a good start on that path, and all parties agreed that we would continue to work together to improve. But that progress cannot stop now. In an increasingly competitive job market for firefighters, we are continuing to lose ground. The increase in communities seeking to hire fully trained, experienced firefighters means our members, who are still far behind where they should be on our pay scale, are leaving for other jobs in record numbers. This has left us with unprecedented levels of overtime, shortage of members with further specialized skills, such as firefighter paramedics, and nearly constant mandatory overtime. The mandatory overtime makes it harder for firefighters with families to stay on the job. Attrition costs the taxpayers millions in lost human capital investment and overtime costs. Most importantly, in our line of work, experience can mean the difference between life and death. The problem is that the proposed budget does nothing to make progress on these issues. The good news is that by dedicating a penny of the proposed tax rate to police and fire wages, you can address what your constituents said was their #1 priority, public safety. The choice is yours. You don't have any legal obligation to do this. We can only ask that you do the right thing by your firefighters, their families, and the community we protect. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is John Musso, followed by Pat Stewart.
Good evening, members of the County Board. I'm John Musso, Government Affairs Manager at the Arlington Chamber of Commerce, and on behalf of the Chamber, we would like to request that the County Board restore specific funds and programs that we believe are greater investments in the ability for Arlington County to accomplish shared economic policy goals and ultimately benefit the county's economy and tax revenues as well. Those are specifically funding in AED's Business Investment Group's trade and promotion budget, which is proposed to be cut about $50,000 or roughly 21% of its budget, and restoring 2 associate planner positions in CPHD. The Chamber believes that both the AED program and the 2 CPHD positions are part of a greater investment in the type of programs and resources that the county needs in these current economic times. The AED trade and promotion budget would go a long way in engaging businesses, both prospective businesses and current businesses in Arlington, and hopefully encourage them to come to Arlington, remain here, and contribute to our economy and overall well-being. In addition, with CPHD, as CPHD moves ahead with very important projects like the Commercial Market Resiliency Initiative this year and the coming years, with the Chamber's support, we believe having a fully fully staffed department would be vital to accomplishing its goals and additional further goals as it moves forward in planning for the Arlington of the next few generations. So thank you very much for your time, and we hope that you consider restoring this funding and these positions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Pat Stewart, followed by Katronia Rogers.
I come to you this evening to talk a little bit about the senior citizens. We've heard a lot about kids this evening. I'd like to turn now to the other end of the age spectrum. I hope to convince you to retain the personal training program that has long been offered by the Parks and Recreation Department. This program is largely strength training, resistance training. I have sent you previously input quoting a University of Minnesota meta-study, more than 1 million people involved in it, benefiting the benefits of this kind of training, a 40% decrease in the risk of death from all causes, a 50% decrease in cardiovascular disease, which is our largest killer in the US. I have benefited from this program, but I'm about to graduate from it. But this is the feeder program. This is the one for people who are not fit enough to get into the classes that Parks and Rec also offers. It's been suggested that I seek out alternatives in the private sector. I tried 5 separate gyms from Ballston out to Seven Corners. Details if you want them, but basically we're not the target demographic, and I couldn't find anything that was suitable for me, which is how I came to the county program. The cherry on top of this whole Sunday is that Parks and Rec has come into you, I understand, with a plan to restore this program to cost neutrality. Please give this a hard scrub. Thanks.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Katronia Rogers, followed by Ela Duckman.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Katrina Rogers, and I've been a resident of Arlington County since I was a toddler. My daughter and I attended APS schools from K through 12, and my daughter graduated in 2022. I'm here to share my observations about the stresses families face in our community and the need for after-school programming for teens. My own daughter experienced stress when the lockdown of 2020 interrupted her high school activities. Losing her regular contact with peers and adults outside her own family was difficult, and we were lucky that she was resilient and that we got the help that we needed to adapt to the challenges. I have been in conversations with parents from a wide variety of backgrounds, income levels, and diverse experiences through my volunteer activities, community meetings, church, and friend groups. I've also heard from preschool to college teachers about how students are doing right now. We are still not okay. The kids are struggling with anxiety and depression. Some kids are experiencing severe impacts and require intensive interventions, and milder impacts on mental health are nearly universal. We should seize the opportunities we have now to help a lot of kids and prevent severe impacts. One of the ways we can support children, youth, and families is to make quality after-school programming available to them. Research shows that community connectedness is a protective factor for youth mental health. Teens need regular contact with peers and kind, trustworthy adults through programs that get them excited and keep them engaged. Teens who are getting those needs met are recovering from the challenges they experienced when those supports were unavailable. I'm happy to follow up with examples if that would be helpful. These programs must be available to our whole community. Families I volunteer with cannot afford to pay for programs, and transportation needs must not be a barrier. The challenges today are different from when I went to school in the late 80s. The love within families is the same, but the current pressures on teens are complex and intense.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ela Duckman, followed by Adam Mann.
Hello, my name is Ela Duckman, and I'm a 7th grader at Gunston. I'm here today to ask for funding towards after-school programs. Middle and high schoolers need safe after-school programs that fit their interests and include healthy and good-tasting food and led by caring adults. These programs should be every day and free at school or nearby with transportation. Many of my classmates are struggling with mental health and using harmful substances. After-school programs can help a lot because it would give students something to do. Some of the kids are struggling Some of the kids struggling just go home, have no supervision because their parents are working, and when there's nothing else to do, they choose drugs. I believe busy, engaged teens are less likely to turn to drugs. I play for the Arlington Soccer Association, and I've done many sports for Gunston. These activities keep me busy and focused on taking care of my body. ASA also kept me connected to a group of caring teammates and coaches during the COVID shutdown. Not everyone had this opportunity during that time, and the isolation made teen mental health worse. And not everyone can afford to pay to participate on travel and rec sports teams or get a spot on competitive teams. Everyone deserves the opportunity to participate in free and fun after-school activities. It doesn't necessarily have to be sports. Gunston does have some free after-school clubs. Most programs only go until 4 p.m., and I feel like that isn't enough. Okay.
You've got 20 minutes. Go ahead.
My friends and classmates wish there were more activities to meet people's interests. Please spend $2 million on quality after-school program. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Adam Mann, followed by Myrta Arazosa.
I'm here to ask the board to reconsider its plan to eliminate the Behavioral Intervention Services program next month. For the sake of my son Isaac and other Arlington children with disabilities who this program serves, we must preserve this essential program. Isaac is nonverbal, has autism, intellectual and physical disabilities, and a chromosome deletion syndrome. While APS has provided services such as speech, physical, and occupational therapy to Isaac, there is no program like BIS that focuses on practical approaches for parents to help their children who are in behavioral crisis. BIS was a lifeline for our family. Isaac's behavior had begun to spiral out of control. He acted out his anxiety and depression with increasingly aggressive and self-destructive behavior. We were concerned for the health and safety of him and his siblings. His behavior affected our whole family, and with his extremely limited communication, it was almost impossible to understand what was causing his anxiety and depression. But then we found BIS, and our behavioral specialist, Martha Albright, helped us better understand the root cause of Isaac's behaviors and worked with us on practical solutions to help manage his behavior before it became destructive. She was instrumental in teaching us how to keep Isaac safe. She taught us how to set consistent expectations and provided strategies to manage his emotions at his developmental level. BIS is unique in Arlington in that it focuses on directly teaching us, the parents, strategies to manage maladaptive and dangerous behaviors. Arlington parents need the direct support that BIS offers to help our children in crisis. In the private sector, these services can cost hundreds of dollars per hour. BIS makes them available to Arlington families for $15 per month, providing equitable access to all Arlington residents. Now is not the time to cut a mental and behavioral health program serving some of the most vulnerable children in Arlington. Arlington, this is an investment worth making. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your next speaker is Myrta Arazosa, followed by Shayla Olgwin Guarachi.
Good evening. My name's Myrta Arazosa. I've lived in Arlington for 43 years, and I am here to speak on behalf of retaining the personal training program. This is a program that's important not just for seniors, but for all ages of county residents, including teenagers that are looking to up their stamina so that they can play sports. This is a program that helps us stay in place, keeps us fit, helps with using less cars and preserving our environment because we walk instead of ride. Not everybody can take classes, and the personal training program is available to our schedules and not everyone else's schedule. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Shayla Olgwin Guarachi, followed by Daniel Escobar.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Shayla Guarachi. I'm a sophomore from Washington Liberty High School, and I live near Arlington Mill. I appreciate and I participate in marching band. I'm a leader from El Futuro. I do karate to learn to defend myself. And I have more activities that I'm really interested in and I love to do. Last year I went through a difficult time. I was bullied by a group of girls, and was afraid to go to school. I did not attend for a couple of weeks, although I reached out to counselors, teachers, and the principals for help. The situation continued for weeks. It wasn't until my mother got involved that the situation was resolved. I am lucky to have a great involved mom who is able to stand up for me. Every kid doesn't have a parent that has the time or the knowledge to take on the school system. There are many families who love their children dearly and are working hard for them, but don't have the information or the time or confidence to fix things like this. In my neighborhood, I see kids wandering around doing things that they're not supposed to be doing. They are getting surrounded by bad influencers and are going down to the wrong path. I wish we had more programs and more free programs that could include activities. That could include active music, sports, competitions, and getting extra credits, and that could help with college applications and scholarships. Such programs could really help us for the teenagers. I'm asking you to put more money into needed after-school free programs. If you need help, I have lots of ideas of what could be offered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Daniel Escobar, followed by Maria Lucia Guarachi.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Daniel Escobar. I am a student in Washington Liberty. I live in Arlington Mill, and I have an older brother who's in New York attending college. I'm in the marching band of Washington Liberty. I play rec soccer for Arlington, and I used to play ultimate frisbee, an activity that my brother encouraged me to join. I've attended some meetings where parents that work during after-school hours were speaking about having concerns about their children during after-school hours, wondering if their children were safe at home and not doing the stuff that could lead them in a bad place. Where I live, I see a lot of kids around my age hanging outside with their friends instead of doing something productive. These kids sometimes sneak out of their homes without their parents knowing. The reason why I believe kids my age do this is because they don't have someone to talk to because their parents are busy. What I believe could help this situation is more available clubs such as sport clubs, game clubs, reading clubs, and etc. Something interesting for a kid around my age to do that would also help them mentally. More after-school programs would not also be useful for kids, but also for the parents. More free after-school programs would help a lot because parents wouldn't have to be so concerned about their children. Let's put some more money toward our youth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Maria Lucia Guarachi, followed by Mary McLean. Speak nice and loud into the microphone. Thank you.
Buenas noches a todos.
Good evening, everyone.
Me llamo María Lucía Guarachi. Soy la mamá de Sheila Holguín Guarachi.
My name is Maria Lucia Guarachi. I am the mother of Sheila Holguín Guarachi.
Quiero expresar que es muy importante que haya programas fuera de las escuelas para nuestros adolescentes, para que nuestros hijos no estén haciendo cosas negativas como drogas, pandillas, peleas.
I just want to say that I want to express that it's very important that we have programs outside of the schools for our teenagers, for our children would not be doing things negative such as drugs, gangs, or fights.
Debido a que muchos padres tienen varios hijos, el costo de programas es muy caro para ellos.
Some parents, they have a number of children, so the cost of the programs is very high for them.
Es tan importante a esta edad de adolescentes cuidar a nuestros hijos como cuando eran pequeños.
It is very important at this stage of their adolescence for us to look after our children just as when they were little infants.
Los adolescentes están más cerca de todo tipo de riesgos.
The adolescents, they are closer to all types of risks.
Soy una madre separada y solo tengo una hija por la que lucho todos los días.
I am a separated mother, and I only have one daughter for which I fight every single day.
Tengo cuidado de reservar dinero para que participe en diferentes actividades y la prepare para la universidad y tenga un buen futuro.
I am very careful with my reserves of my income so I could allow her to participate in different activities and prepare her for the university and for her to have a wealthy future.
La clave del éxito de tener a nuestros hijos en peligro es mantenerlos ocupados.
The key of success to have our kids outside, keep our kids outside of danger, is to keep them busy with positive activities that they like.
Es por mi experiencia que yo les digo que a mi hija la tengo ocupada y gracias a Dios ella tiene diferentes actividades que lo hace.
I'm telling you by experience because my daughter, she has different activities and I keep her busy and concentrated in her studies.
Pero el costo me cuesta reunirlo para que ella pueda estar en esas actividades.
But it is very difficult to get the money together for her to be able to participate in these activities.
No podemos perder a nuestros adolescentes en estos tiempos difíciles.
We cannot lose our teenagers in these difficult times.
Debemos prepararlos para la vida y para un futuro mejor.
We have to prepare them for life and for a better future.
Les pido a ustedes que me escuchan.
I am asking you who are listening to me tonight,
por favor que aprueben los 2 millones para las actividades after school.
Please approve the $2 million for after-school activities.
Que ayudarán a salvar a nuestros niños y que son futuros de Estados Unidos.
That this will help save our youth who are the future of these United States.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Our next speaker is Mary McLean, followed by Alice Tewell.
Oh, who's good?
Go right ahead.
Sound check?
Yep, you can go.
Okay,
Start.
thank you.
You're good.
You started when I didn't say my name, so give me more time.
Okay.
Start me over.
Let's start over. How about
Thank you.
Okay. There you go.
Thank you. Mary Dudley McLean, retired active volunteer, naturalist teacher, here since '81, advocating to restore hours at Arlington County's nature centers. During the height of the COVID pandemic, Arlington cut nature center hours to 3 days. Temporarily, they said. Today, it is still 3 days. Our nature centers have the most limited hours of any in Northern Virginia. With 6 days, we could more than double the people impacted by nature centers. Arlington's nature centers, Long Branch in the south and Gulf Branch in the north, are effective community centers available for young and old, rich and poor, and teenagers. In these special spaces, unique opportunities exist to learn about and appreciate the many benefits of the world around us and the creatures we share it with. They are truly libraries of the natural world. As with our libraries, they should be free and available resources for a properly well-educated citizenry that is healthier both mentally and physically. Arlington County's Forestry and Natural Resources Plan and Public Spaces Master Plan call natural spaces beneficial. Both support public-private learning to appreciate those benefits. We are happier and healthier in green and growing spaces. Naturalists like Long Branch's Rita, who is bilingual, teach us to connect to, value, and protect our natural resources for each other, animals, plants, and fungi we share this space with, and those who come after us. This affects career choices, daily choices for a more sustainable lifestyle, and the coming climate change, like what we eat, recycle, grow, and so forth. I want to add,
thank you.
We're safer if they're open.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Alice Twell, followed by Erica Matrano. Well.
Hi, I'm Alice Toole, pastor of Clarendon Presbyterian Church, part of the Voice Strategy Team, and president of the Barcroft Elementary School PTA. I'm here to advocate for the $2 million for after-school programming. My family invests in our kids' after-school enrichment to build confidence, resilience, and to strengthen their mental health. My children develop self-discipline through martial arts at Evolve All and Columbia Pike, learn kindness, teamwork, and STEM skills at Camp Soraka, and become team players through virtually every sport in Arlington, especially soccer. I wish every child could have these opportunities to build connections and resilience around Arlington. So that every child may thrive, Barcroft Elementary, a Title I school, offers free and extremely reduced price programs every single day at the school after school. Camp Soraka offers the opportunity for every kid to be seen and develop into a leader, with a program bridging kindergarten all the way to high school. Science Seed establishes that every kid is a scientist, and ASA Real Madrid Soccer gives opportunities for kids from all backgrounds to play competitive soccer. Voice, ASHPA, and NAACP, after listening to over 500 families from elementary to high school, see an urgent need for significant spending on after-school programs to help students build resilience. We're proposing $2 million in the FY25 budget. In our meetings with the Arlington County Board members, we've witnessed concern and heard various ideas to strengthen prevention, including robust after-school programming in future years. We welcome dialogue with board members and staff, and we want to work together to make significant progress. Our children's futures can be bright when we all work together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Erica Matrano, followed by David Gottlieb. Erica Matrano.
Is Matrano?
Okay.
Why don't we go ahead? Maybe she'll come later.
Okay. David Gottlieb.
Hi, my name is David Gottlieb. I'm a retired clinical psychologist. I worked with teens and kids for 35 years. And I had several children of my own. I have right now 2 grandchildren, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old who live in Arlington. Of my children, one of them got mixed up in gangs. You know, I'm a psychologist. I should have seen something coming. I didn't see it. There were no after-school activities for my son, and luckily I was able to afford to get him into a therapy situation quickly. But not everybody can do that. Not everybody has the funds to be able to do that, right? So I think this after-school programming, $2 million towards after-school programming is really important. Otherwise, kids end up going home at 3:30, maybe their parents are working, there's no one home but them. They get online, they see all kinds of things online that are not healthy for them. They're already depressed, a number of kids to begin with. They compare themselves to some of these people they see online and feel even more negative about themselves. So by having after-school program, it cuts down the time that they're online on social media. That's really important. I think it all started with COVID. People then started getting on social media all the time, and it really hasn't totally stopped, even though COVID is winding down. So these after-school programs might be like a movie with popcorn, and bring the kids in, and then the rest of the week after school they would talk about the movie or some of the feelings that erupted from that. So you want mental health workers dealing with these kids so that they can react and help the kids deal with things. So that's probably where the money would go to primarily, is an array of mental health counselors. And then there'd also be a person trained in crisis intervention. So if something came up that needed immediate attention, there would be a way to get help for that student. Anyway, thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next speaker is Paul Nolan, followed by Noreen Hannigan.
Good evening. When I last spoke to members of the board, my preferred pronoun was caregiver. It still is today. In fact, it's a concerned caregiver. I am asking your assistance in maintaining adult day program transportation services for my daughter Marjorie. Her transportation services are scheduled to end May 31st, 2024. My 2 children, Marjorie, 38, and William, 36, have lived here their entire lives. Due to their significant intellectual disabilities, both Marjorie and William attend the St. Coletta Adult Day Program in Alexandria. Marjorie since 2008 and William since 2009. Diamond Transportation has provided a fixed route van service that has proven to be dependable, stable, and safe for each of them. Riding together with an aide, they have always taken the same van, leaving home and coming home together with the minimum disruption of their lives. I am told in early January by DH staff that Diamond's contract was ending in May 31st of this year. That the only option for Marjorie was to ride by herself without an aide in a separate van provided by Metro Access. In our discussions with staff, this option was found not to be practical due to Marjorie's intellectual limitations and our concerns for her safety. Unfortunately, the alternative for Marjorie is no transportation services at all. A person with intellectual disabilities instead is allowed to ride with her brother as his companion. As such, when William is unable to attend the program, Marjorie will have no transportation to her program. How does this happen? It's due to staffing switching from Medicaid, switching to Medicaid paid for services without Arlington providing any funding. Why did it happen? It's so that they can, as we heard, even with the saving money through COVID, there are a new revenue stream, a new source of funding at her expense.
Thank you, Mr. Nolan. Could you leave your contact information with the deputy clerk out in the lobby, Mr. Kushner out there? Thank you.
Our next speaker is Noreen Hannigan, followed by Romana Campos.
Good evening. My name is Noreen Hannigan. I've lived in Arlington since 1982. Tonight, I would like to share my views on some of the budget items relating to parks. I think there are good aspects to the proposed budget that would benefit Arlington's limited natural resources. I am an Arlington master naturalist and a tree steward, and I put in many volunteer hours along 4 Mile Run. So I support the proposed increases for urban forestry and invasive plant controls. A lot of residents who want healthy street trees and green spaces for wildlife will appreciate it. But one important county service, namely reopening our nature centers back to pre-COVID hours, has been overlooked for reasons I don't understand. Our nature centers provide important and free education for people of all ages and income levels. Having them closed half the week means fewer places where families can go for free and fewer opportunities to engage with wildlife. With fewer programs being held now, children and adults are missing out on valuable lessons about nature at a time when our planet is in crisis. But my biggest question is, why have the nature centers been overlooked? The pandemic emergency ended almost a year ago, but the signs on the doors of the nature centers still say temporary hours. After 4 years, the word temporary is no longer appropriate, and the county needs to do something. I'm not asking for anything new. The nature centers were open and popular with everyone for decades before COVID. Other normal services have been resumed, so why can't we restore nature center services to the way they were before? It would be a relatively small expenditure, but greatly appreciated. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Romana Campos, followed by Luz Rodriguez. Romana Campos.
Romana was to have someone do her speech for her. She had a death in her family.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, perhaps she could send it in writing then.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll look at it.
Next speaker is Luz Rodriguez, followed by Don Bova. No? Okay.
Luz Rodriguez, Don Bova.
Don Bova?
Yeah, here.
Good evening. My name is Dawn Bova, and I'm here to ask the board to allocate funds for the behavioral health needs for our children and youth. As a member of Voice, in conjunction with the Arlington Schools Hispanic Parents Association and the Arlington NAACP, I ask that you fully fund the proposal for the pilot after-school programs to address youth mental health and substance abuse crises in our county. And to be honest, I know you've heard from a lot of people about this program, and I would have kept my seat because they have eloquently explained the need. But I wanted to make sure everyone understood why this particular proposal addresses the need that we're discussing. The programs advocated for in this proposal would be preventative measure, providing direct services to middle and high school students. They would first, as proposed, be a low barrier or no barrier program, meaning that the costs, transportation, and other potential impediments to participation are removed, especially for youth from underserved communities. Secondly, the programs would be high quality, consistent, and offer interesting activities and learning opportunities that attract meaningful youth participation. And thirdly, the programs would be school-based. Again, this removes the barrier of transportation, but it also meets young people where they are. It strengthens their ties to their school and allows them to form relationships with the adult program leaders and other participating peers. There are different ways of addressing the behavioral health needs of our young people, but prevention is an important part of the solution. And I urge you to start by providing what these students themselves, their parents, and their communities say they need, and to fully fund the proposal for a pilot after-school program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dean Amell, followed by Kathleen McSweeney. Oops.
Good evening, Chair Garvey and board members. My name is Dean Amell, and I'm chair of the Potomac River Group of the Sierra Club. We submitted 2 full pages of comments on the manager's draft budget. I won't attempt to cover all the praise and critiques contained in that letter. Rather, I'll focus on 3 items. First, to address the 96% of Arlington's greenhouse gas emissions originating in the private sector, Arlington County should develop a robust set of initiatives to provide homeowners and other property owners with resources, information, and technical assistance on opportunities for energy efficiency upgrades, electrification, EV charging, and renewable energy. This will be a core challenge for the AIR team and will require significant additional staff resources. Second, the county should conduct a targeted transportation study to identify opportunities to expand the use of transit to meet daily transportation needs and reduce use of single occupancy vehicles. The study should identify strategies and pilot projects for using on-demand microtransit to meet transportation needs in less dense Arlington neighborhoods and for adjusting routes and schedules to meet transportation needs for APS middle and high school students. Third, the county should ensure that Barcroft redevelopment plans reflect Arlington's commitment to climate justice and carbon neutrality. Low-income and vulnerable populations need to be explicitly included in Arlington's carbon neutral planning. Reducing energy bills through energy efficiency, renewable energy, and electrification will make housing more affordable, healthy, safe, and resilient for the life of the building. Arlington County should be willing to increase short-term expenditures to reap long-term energy savings. These changes should not come at the cost of losing units of affordable housing. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Kathleen McSweeney, followed by Deborah Short.
Good evening, Chair Garvey, members of the County Board, County Manager Schwartz, and county staff. My name is Kathleen McSweeney, and I'm here tonight representing the citizen leadership of the Superintendent's Advisory Committee for Immigrants and Refugee Students' Concerns. I serve as the chair of that committee. In 2022 and 2023, the committee recommended that student behavioral health be a top priority and I have previously appeared before you to urge the county to commit financial and other resources needed for interventions for students suffering from mental health and/or substance use, and to develop a robust set of preventative measures ranging from more after-school and summer offerings for students to peer support programs for students and parents. Thank you to the county because you have delivered on aspects of the first part. You've provided counseling and mental health services from DHS staff to supplement school staff and provide tiered supports. Now we're on the second part. We believe that quality and attainable after-school programming is an important part of the prevention piece in responding to the youth mental health crisis. We have stood with the leadership of the County Council of PTAs, the Arlington Hispanic Parents Advisory, or ASHPA, LULAC, Voice, and the NAACP to bring attention to this crisis, and we have met and had fruitful discussions with DHS, DPR, and other county staff. We would urge you to not only allocate funding, but think about how the funds will be spent and how the program will be coordinated. We urge you to consider doing what parents and students have asked for: quality, supervised, low-barrier after-school sports, arts, and other programming located where it is most accessible to students at their schools. We're pleased to see funding for this purpose in this year's budget, but we would ask you to consider increasing the funding to hire a coordinator to oversee and coordinate expenditures between the county and APS, to ensure that the students who need it are accessing the programs offered and that the quality of the supervision and programs at all the sites remains high. Thank you for all you have done and will continue to do.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Deborah Short, followed by Dan Campbell.
Good evening. I'm Deborah Short, a 34-year resident of Glen Carlin. Please look at the map that I provided and note the location of our small but mighty library. We're Arlington's only branch, south of 66, west of Glebe, east of Route 7, and north of Walter Reed. We serve a large swath of Arlington that includes some of the schools with the highest numbers of English learners and at-risk pupils. For more than 40 years, I've worked in the field of English as a second language, as a teacher and as a researcher. I care about literacy, I care about our library, and I care about equity. Last fall, we conducted a community-wide survey and found overwhelming support for the Glen Carlin Library, including a desire for more books, more open hours, and more programs. Since that time, we've worked with the branch manager to establish a monthly speaking series and a monthly game night. Both kicked off in March. We continue to advocate for more books and more open hours. Our community has volunteered to help the nearby schools, particularly Carlin Springs Elementary and Kenmore Middle, with tutoring and reading support. Both of these schools, as you know, on average, have a student body performing less well on standardized tests of reading than other county schools. Given the need for literacy, the board's goal of equity, the broad community support for our library, and our events and connections to schools, it makes no sense that our library is under-equipped, faces budget cuts, and might need to share a branch manager. Instead, we urge you to maintain, or better expand, our budget. And I invite you to join us on April 9th for game night and April 15th for our speaker series featuring some local artists. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dan Campbell, followed by Jane Green, and followed by Claire Christian.
You got it.
Good evening. My name is Dan Campbell. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, a member of Trinity Presbyterian Church, and a voice leader in Arlington. I work with at-risk youth and their families. Many of my clients are well known to school personnel and emergency responders. They are the kids adults worry about. I've also talked to teenagers during numerous voice listening sessions in the community. Most of the kids we talk to are not in this category, but many are not okay. They don't trust adults, they don't know how to help their struggling family, and they worry about what the future holds. They spend a lot of time alone, taking care of younger siblings, or looking for peers to hang out with. They see their peers slide into depression, drugs, and negative peer groups. They too are teetering on the edge of hopelessness. The proposed budget includes adding and expanding excellent intervention programs for Tier 2 and Tier 3 kids. However, it does not address the urgent need for quality outside of school activities that are accessible to everyone who needs them. These programs change kids' trajectory. The kids who make it are members of clubs, athletes, actors, gamers, even programmers. Shout out to nerds. In these activities, they find identity and community. They don't have to be mini adults. They have a place. They feel valued. They exercise, eat healthy, manage time, resolve conflicts, and work hard, life skills they don't even know they are learning. Don't all kids deserve what the luckiest kids get? Research shows that money spent on prevention yields the greatest returns. I beg you to fund after-school programs that will keep our kids out of jails, psychiatric hospitals, and morgues. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jane Green, followed by Claire Christian, followed by Brian Marroquin.
Good evening. My name is Jane Green. I am a 9-year Arlington County resident and a proud renter just down the street. Affordable housing is the foundation of everything that is great about Arlington. Our diversity, our economic vibrancy, our walkability, our people. The Affordable Housing Investment Fund is a critical tool for increasing Arlington's supply of committed affordable units. I greatly appreciate that the FY25 budget has $20.5 million in AIF, which is the highest total ever. This will help get affordable housing built throughout the county. Yet this is still only half of the funding we need as outlined in the Affordable Housing Master Plan's 5-year update. If the budget to AHIF isn't increased, we will continue to fall further behind the Affordable Housing Master Plan's goals. To increase the AHIF amount, we need a permanent source of funding, something that nonprofit developers can rely on as they plan their projects years in advance. Another important tool for increasing affordable housing comes through our comprehensive planning. Please do not eliminate the 2 associate planner positions. Arlington's planning division does critical work that allows Arlington to grow and provide affordable housing in walkable and transit-oriented communities. We need their staff at full capacity to meet the county's needs. Arlington has a vision of being a diverse and inclusive world-class urban community. Every investment we make in affordable housing and comprehensive planning makes this vision a reality now, in 2050, and beyond. Thank you.
I caught that.
Yep, thank you.
Next speaker is Claire Christian, followed by Brian Marroquin.
Hello, my name is Claire Christian, and I'm the president of the Friends of the Arlington Library, or FOL. FOL would like to thank the County Board for its strong support over the library. Over the past year, the library has seen amazing growth and has fully returned to, and in some cases exceeded, pre-pandemic levels of public engagement. This includes the following. Circulation is up 14%, holds placed are up 15%, and the number of active patrons who have used their library card in the past year is up 13.5%. In fact, there are currently 88,000 active patrons, which is the most ever. And what is driving this is largely the one-time money given to the library collection in the last 2 county budgets. So this year, FOL would like to strongly support the currently proposed budget for the library, particularly the collections funding, so that we can keep our Arlington libraries vibrant and strong. A loss of this funding would result in wait times going up, circulation going down, and the number of active patrons going down as well. The library budget is the smallest of the county budgets, but its resources are widely used by Arlington citizens, as you can see. And just to add to that, over the past year, the library's free programs and events that were funded by FOL welcomed more than 122,000 people. In closing, we would also like the county board to consider in the future providing supplementary funding for some of these programs in future budgets. FOL currently provides 100% of the library's programming budget, and although we are proud to provide this funding, we rely on donations, memberships, and book sales to support the library, and fundraising often has ups and downs. Even a relatively modest amount of support from the county would go a long way towards ensuring that the library is able to continue providing funding, providing the world-class programming that Arlington residents are using in record numbers. And I'd also like to say we strongly support the statements about Glen Carlin Library. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Brian Marroquin, followed by Frank Lusby and Dixie Duncan.
Good evening, I'm Brian Marroquin on behalf of the Arlington Community Foundation, speaking to our ongoing work on innovative solutions that prevent the economic displacement of Arlingtonians. To this end, we urge the county board to adopt a policy that committed affordable units going forward include at least 10% of units bought down to rents affordable to those living at 30% of the area median income, and ask you to provide the necessary funding to make this a reality. Dating back to 2020, the Arlington Community Foundation closely studied what it takes to buy down units at this level. We bring these findings forward and use them to model what it would take to achieve this policy today. To make this a reality this budget season, we recommend an additional AHIF appropriation of $2.3 million above the manager's proposal and dedicated one-time funding for CAF projects to provide at least 10% of units at deep affordability. Now, we'd love to get to a point where we're doing more than 10% of units. The need is definitely there, but we think this is a financially feasible but impactful starting point. Buying down rents to this level can be life-changing for families and for individuals. It would mean that a family of 4 on very low income can get to a rent closer to $1,000 a month or maybe less for a 2-bedroom CAF without needing additional subsidies. That's life-changing. This not only prevents housing instability and homelessness, but it also alleviates rent burden and creates financial breathing room for families and individuals to get ahead. The Foundation's other demonstration pilots show what people do when they have this financial breathing room. They study to earn a credential, they have more time to help their kids with their homework, they have better health, and they feel like they belong in Arlington. At the Foundation, we're always interested in learning and iterating on what works. So we think you can view this funding as a demonstration pilot to test the market response to building deeply affordable homes. And above all, it would send an important signal that Arlington County won't let up on achieving economic diversity and vitality throughout the county. Please support this policy to achieve deeply affordable housing throughout Arlington. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Frank Lusby, followed by Dixie Duncan, followed by Alan Hicks.
Greetings. My name is Frank Lusby in Dominion Hills. My first comment regards the Bluemont tennis courts. I'm encouraging the board to fund the renovation of these courts through the Upper Bluemont project, which I understand will begin the first quarter of 2025. This is important as hundreds of people of all ages use these courts regularly. I would also encourage the county to fund temporary resurfacing, as these courts are in terrible shape with large crevices and holes and have been that way for the past 2 years. And honestly, it's an embarrassment anytime we bring a guest from out of town to play there. My second comment relates to the proposed art service expansions that were mentioned by Mr. Warren earlier. I'm very concerned by the proposed routes with poor cost recovery and exorbitant cost per ride statistics. So, for example, routes 75 and 77 that are slated for expansion have only 8 and 9% projected cost recovery. Routes 72, 87, and 84 have only 3 to 5% projected cost recovery. And some of these lines have projected deficits of over $50 per ride. So I'm also concerned with the procurement of high-cost electric buses, even if subsidized, and the high cost of replacing those electric buses' batteries and the environmental damage of constructing and disposing of them. So please consider reducing ART funding for FY 2025 and explore more flexible options for the underused routes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Dixie Duncan, followed by Alan Hicks.
Hello, board. Thank you for your service and thank you for your time. I'm here for the Glen Carlin Library because we need a full-time director based on the proximity that we are to 3 schools. Kenmore, Campbell, and Carlin Springs schools are within a half a mile of our library. The minority population at those schools is 73% for Kenmore, 65% for Campbell, and 90% for Carlin Springs. So therefore, our library is the perfect opportunity for these minorities, and having a director or a full-time director will allow us to serve those populations. In addition, if you've never visited our library, we are unique because we are a community. We have parking where you can walk right in. You don't have to worry about your kids getting run over. Old people don't have to worry about falling down. This library is very important. It's important to our community. The location is essential, and we need a director that can provide services for the library. By the way, I'm a CPA. I should be home doing taxes, but this is more important.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Alan Hicks, followed by Cynthia Coquesta-Cotier. Alan Hicks.
Good evening. My name is Alan Hicks, and I'm here to express my opposition to eliminating Behavioral Intervention Services, or BIS. 2 years ago, my 4-year-old son was in Arlington County Public Schools, and still is. He had difficulty with transitions and aggression. He still has difficulties with transitions, but we're working on that. The team at the school did a fantastic job working with him, but he still had these difficulties at home and at school. I asked the staff, after he was particularly aggressive with another student, what we should do at home. Obviously, you should have consequences. The staff said, I can't tell you what to do at home. That's actually a good policy. I don't think that many parents would enjoy hearing actually what we should do at home. But they did direct us to BIS. And there I worked with Martha, along with my wife, and she was fantastic. She gave us exactly what we needed to hear and exactly what we needed to do in order to help him. I think it's very unfortunate that it's currently on the chopping block, because it was very helpful to our home, and I hope that other people are able to enjoy it as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Cynthia Coquesta-Cotier, followed by Courtney Massey.
Good evening. My name is Cynthia Coquesta-Cotier, and I'm part of Wakefield PTSA, and also I'm here representing the Hispanic parent of Arlington Public School, ASHPA. And I want to express my opinion about the opportunities that after-school program will achieve for our children. Historically, the opportunities for children with low-income families do not have the best options to participate in programs that raise their creativity, interest, or potential. Schools generally have competitive sport teams that are only limited for a certain amount of students. What happened to other students that they don't have the skill or they don't have the amount to pay for other programs that the parents pay for extra classes so they can learn the skills, so they can be part of those limited numbers of kids. Or simply because they don't have the same skills. That's why we are here asking to help make those changes in the life of the young people and to have an experience that they will learn or they will lead them to have a success and achieve their dreams. We need you to invest in the life of our young people. Please consider the $2 million investment for quality and free after-school program. Please take care of them now because they will take care of us in the future. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Courtney Massey, followed by Noah Arf.
Good evening. My name is Courtney Massey. I am here representing Showing Up for Racial Justice Northern Virginia and the Defund Nova Police Coalition. We're a coalition that advocates that Northern Virginia local governments divest from harmful and racist policing and invest in resources that provide true community safety, such as many of the things you've heard here tonight: affordable housing, healthcare, teen mental health initiatives, after-school programs, libraries, and many more. So looking at the proposed FY25 budget, we see some encouraging signs, but there's also a lot of room for improvement. We note that the county has proposed a 1.6% increase to the police budget, which is an improvement over FY24's 8% increase. And we also note the increased focus on affordable housing and the sizable investments in the Affordable Housing Investment Fund. and so on. These are a direct result of local organizing campaigns that have been demanding more affordable housing rather than increased policing. But the police budget of nearly $86 million contains many millions of dollars that could be redistributed to other resources that truly keep communities safe. We know that here in Northern Virginia, police have terrorized and even killed our community members. Here in Arlington, for instance, a community member involved in a minor traffic incident for which he was not at fault was deported due to voluntary collaboration between police and ICE. This and many other stories make clear that police don't keep community members safe. Instead, we need to fund resources like all of the ones that your constituents have been mentioning tonight: housing, food, healthcare, after-school resources, things that proactively meet communities' needs and reduce encounters with police, and create safety in ways that are not reactive and punitive, but again, proactive. So we're here today to demand that you reduce the police budget as much as possible and reallocate as much of it to the other social services that your constituents are demanding. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Noah Arf, followed by Claudia Ramirez-Cular.
Hello, my name is Noah Arf. I'm a 7th grader at Kenmore Middle School. I've been playing travel soccer in Arlington since I was 8 years old. Like many others, I enjoy this activity very much. But unfortunately, not everyone has the opportunity to do what they love in their free time due to a lack of money. Some parents are working overtime just to provide food and housing for their children. I think that everyone should have the same opportunity, which helps them stay in a good path. Today, I ask you, are the lives of Arlington students worth $2 million, or just 0.1% of your budget? Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'll ask those who are willing to speak virtually to please turn off their cameras and mute themselves. Thank you.
Next speaker is Claudia Ramirez-Cular, followed by Christopher Concepcion.
Good evening. My name is Claudia Ramirez-Cuellar, I'm part of ASPA. As a mother, I know how difficult it is for families to find an after-school care. I have the opportunity to serve at Aspire After School Learning. I see how beneficial and important this wonderful program is for children. Aspire serves families on the south side of Arlington, where there is a lot of diversity. Our families are hardworking. Many families are headed by single moms. Aspire is free for our families. In addition to children receive academic support and enrichment activities, families receive a variety of extra support that helps them to succeed in school and life. Unfortunately, these programs have a huge wait list. This program will be loved to help more kids, but we need more money to do this and keep class sizes small with a highly personalized staffing support. We need to expand programs like this and build high-quality programs that serve our teens. Aspire serves only children for 3rd to 5th grade and have a few spaces for families for middle school schoolers. Our parents would like programs to help to be available for the children get older. They worry about our teens. For personal experience, I know the highly quality, free after-school program can make a huge difference in life of a child. Please invest this $2 million in free after-school program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Christopher Concepcion, followed by Caroline Haynes.
Okay, hello, can you hear me? Okay.
I can.
Hi, how are you? Hello, Arlington County Board. I stand before you today not only as an Arlington citizen, but also the Virginia State Director of the League of United Latin American Citizens, LULAC, a part of the nation's largest and oldest Latino civil rights advocacy organization. I have come to address a pressing issue which has consumed the lives of 2 students within our community, the crisis of youth and mental health and substance abuse. It's a crisis that demands our immediate attention and decisive action. In response, I am here to advocate advocate both personally and on behalf of Virginia LULAC for the proposal sent by Voice, ASHPA, and the Arlington branch of the NAACP to ask for the county to allocate $2 million in after-school quality program funding for the fiscal year 2025. This funding would provide high-quality, supervised, stimulating, free, and accessible after-school programs for students in some of Arlington's most undeserved communities. The need for such programs is starkly evident. Through voice listening sessions with over 240 Arlington high school students and discussions with parents and ASHPA and PTA Spanish language groups, they have identified a clear desire for more after-school programs. Both students and parents have emphasized the barriers to participation in current out-of-school programming, particularly costs of transportation issues. Furthermore, the lack of engagement in structured activities is a well-known risk factor for youth substance abuse. But beyond mere occupation, structured opportunities provide invaluable chances for our youth to build resilience and resist harmful coping mechanisms. Initiatives like Excel Beyond the Bell in Montgomery County have already proven successful and can serve as models for our own endeavors. Since the start of the 2023-24 school year, Voice has actively engaged with students across Arlington, predominantly students of color, to understand their concerns firsthand. Three main issues have consistently surfaced. One, the need for enhanced after-school program with supervision and more accessibility. Two, need for quality comprehension substance abuse education. And three, need for more accessible behavioral health services. These concerns echoed by parents of Arlington Schools Hispanic Parents Association, with cost and transportation cited as significant barriers. Thank you, and let's work together to make Arlington a more safer place for our students.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Caroline Haynes, followed by Carol Patch.
Good evening. I know it's been a long day for you all. I am here just on my own behalf. Last time I was here, it was right before you all adopted the Forestry and Natural Resource Plan. We talked about the urgency of that, and listening to some of the issues tonight on mental health, I think that only emphasizes what the arguments that we have been making about the importance of nature and making sure that it's accessible to everyone, tree canopy nature and other places that we can fit it into our built community. And as we know, nature makes us all healthier, happier, and more prosperous. And boy, do we need that, given some of the issues we've been hearing about. Just want to commend the county manager's proposed budget to begin the implementation of that Forestry and Natural Resource Plan with the proactive maintenance on trees and invasive species, which are super important as a real launching pad to get some of that started. I obviously have to comment on the lack of funding for nature centers and the lost opportunity that we have for environmental education as a priority, both in the Forestry and Natural Resource Plan, but also in the Public Spaces Master Plan and in our Biophilic Cities Initiative. There's just lots of reasons to get those nature centers open, especially the proximity to the three schools right there on Carlin Springs. There's just many opportunities if that were open. At the very least, let's get them open on the weekends so that families can once again enjoy those nature centers. And also, I just want to commend the county manager's comment this afternoon on the lot coverage study, because that would have been my fourth point. So anyway, we're excited about that. That was also one of the recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, our next speaker is Carol Patch, followed by John Kirkpatrick.
Hi. I'm here today to talk about the arts grants. Funding for the Arlington County grants for the arts has not increased appreciably in 15 years. Think about that. What if your own income was frozen at the same level you had in 2010? Where would you be today? Sadly, that's the experience of many of our arts organizations. The result is they're either leaving Arlington or they're going out of business. The only positive aspect to that one is that those organizations remaining get a bigger cut of that same pie. Arlington County, when you're trying to encourage organizations and businesses to come to Arlington, you tout the fact that we have a vibrant arts community. This isn't going to be sustainable if the county doesn't do more to bring arts funding into compliance with today's economics. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is John Kirkpatrick, followed by Adam Theo.
Hi, good evening, board members. I'm here as the chair of the Arlington Neighborhoods Advisory Committee, and we work with the Arlington Neighborhoods program very closely to implement infrastructure projects focusing on safety and parks. And I wanted to mention, as you well know, we have about almost all but I think 3 civic associations participate in the RNAC. It has been a difficult year for RNAC staff in 2023 because there was a lot of turnover, there were retirements, there was a leadership change. And while we very much highly regard staff and we work with them very closely, we're asking for your consideration in this budget of additional resources for RNAC staff, whether that be additional staff or some form of temporary assistance. While the budget does provide for the existing staff has a lot to manage right now. We are well into implementing the program review, which was done a couple years ago, and those changes are significant to the RNAC. And we are also very much involved in implementing projects. Due to the change last year, we had to cancel a funding round. And this year we are able to maintain our funding rounds, but it is very hard for staff to accomplish everything they're being asked to do, essentially fixing the train while the train is still running in order to accomplish the goals. And just as a reminder, RNAC is very important for neighborhood infrastructure. We are probably the main program in the county that gets specific neighborhood infrastructure done. So we kindly ask for your consideration.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Adam Theo, followed by Sarah Barker.
Hello, I'm joining everyone virtually today instead of in person. I'm Adam Theo with my own concerns for the proposed budget. First, do not cut the 2 full-time planning staff positions from CPHD. With many big plans on the horizon, such as lot coverage and multifamily investment studies, as well as special GLUP amendments and further implementation of EHO, reducing CPHD's planning staff would kneecap Arlington's future. Second, increase our affordable housing investment fund. All $20.5 million is already accounted for by projects in the pipeline, leaving no room for future opportunities for affordable housing. This could be accomplished by keeping the AHIF amount the same at 20.5 for the year, but establishing dedicated payments for the Barcroft Apartments deal that does not come out of AHIF. Barcroft's debt payments shouldn't be coming out of AHIF anyway, since that is intended for new development, not preservation. Establish stable funding, even if a small amount, for the Restorative Justice Conferencing Program and the Director of Restorative Justice and Diversion Services position. With just a few temporary grants so far, those have provided great dividends in reducing strain on our police and detention facility, and a dollar here saves many dollars later. Tie this amount to a small percentage of the police department and sheriff's office budget, even if it's in the low single digits. I know this can't be easy. Everyone here is looking for increases to their own projects in a limited, tight budget. But prioritize needs around long-term planning, affordable housing, and public safety. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sarah Barker, followed by Spencer Jones.
Thank you. I'm here to represent one of those groups that Carol talked about, the groups that receive the arts funding, specifically performing arts funding in Arlington. I represent Avant-Garde Theater. We have a shared leadership team. One of our leaders is Kathleen Akerley, who's a teacher here in Arlington at HB Woodlawn. Avant-Garde began in Arlington in 1990, so we've been here over 30 years, and we've thrived since then. In 2020, tragically and unexpectedly, our beloved artistic director, Tom Pruitt, died, and we were in the thick of COVID. The board thought they were going to have to close our doors. I was part of a few artists who rallied together and proposed a business plan to keep us going, and we did, and we have had 2 successful seasons since then. And we just finished up a production of Shakespeare's Coriolanus, which was very much successful, and I thank Susan and Takis for seeing that. However, despite our artistic success, funding from foundations and other sources has sharply decreased over the past year, so much so that the future of our theater is in jeopardy. So I'm here today to, number one, request the county consider emergency funding by $50,000 for avant-garde theater. And number two, like Carol urged, to urge the county board to increase the grants budget specifically for professional performing arts groups that hire diverse artists from around the region to perform here in Arlington. Finally, should we receive funding and continue to exist, we would continue to provide free admission to all Arlington County students and half-price admission to their parents or guardians that come with them. We would also like to work with other performing arts groups in Arlington on finding solutions for the structured after-school activities. But we can't do that if we don't exist. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Spencer Jones, followed by Christopher Twell.
Hi, I'm Spencer.
Hi, Spencer.
And I am happy to see a major investment in rental assistance and construction of affordable housing in next year's budget. However, rent in Arlington will continue to grow higher, and each dollar in the budget will support rent for fewer people every year if the shortage of housing continues. We need to allow more housing to be built in the county. And the best part is that it is mostly free to legalize homes here in Arlington because many people want to live and pay taxes here. The lowest hanging fruit location to do this is East Falls Church. As taxpayers, we pay millions of dollars every year to operate Metro. We could reduce that subsidy if we just allow more people to live near the Metro. East Falls Church is right there. We just need to plan for transit-oriented housing nearby, and new residents will subsidize the system by paying their fares. To do this just requires planning, something which our county has won a lot of awards for. We're pretty good at planning. We need to keep 2 full-time associate planners for comprehensive planning in the budget in order to plan East Falls Church and fully implement EHO. So I ask you to fund that second position. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Christopher Twell, followed by Claire Noakes.
Yeah, that's fine. Hi, I'm Christopher Toole, a 4th grader at Bugcroft Elementary. Since I was in kindergarten, I've been attending Camp Siraka, a camp in my neighborhood. I love this camp, and I hope to be a counselor in training in middle school and a counselor in high school. I love that the leaders all know my name and who I've grown up to be since I was 5. They have also given me my own nickname. I'm Feast Mode.
Okay.
My favorite thing at about Camp Siraka are the Camp Siraka challenges. We race around on teams and then we solve a math problem in our heads. It is a lot of fun and has targeted me that math is everywhere. One day I want to be an engineer if I don't get to be a professional soccer player. I would like to ask Arlington County to fund after-school programs at Kenmore, Wakefield, TJ, and other schools. I hope when we are in middle school and in high school, all of my friends can have opportunities to succeed. I hope Arlington makes it so every kid can have opportunity to achieve their dreams. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Our next speaker is Claire Noakes, followed by Bernard Byrne.
He's a tough act to follow.
He is.
Hello, I'm Claire Noakes, president of the County Council of PTAs. Research shows that adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, are significantly correlated to student substance abuse and mental illness. At the joint work session, we didn't hear specifics about your ACEs proposal, so I want to describe what an effective ACEs campaign could look like so that you can determine if current funding funding will meet these goals. An effective ACEs campaign will prevent harm, stop harm, and mitigate the effects of past harm. But we can't skip over the discussion of the harm. April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month, and an ACEs campaign has to raise awareness of the sources of harm, even if social norms are challenged. So you will need this campaign to deploy trusted community members to lead very difficult conversations. Second, for prevention, 50% of ACEs occur before the age of 3. So you have to engage time-pressured parents of young kids. An effective campaign will be seen at the parks and grocery stores, at diaper banks, on social media, but not at a workshop. Third, many of the professionals that you are inclined to rely on are going to be a source of roadblocks. There is fear. If they point out trauma to a child, they will be held responsible for fixing whatever happens afterwards. Do you know that when a child has 4 or more ACEs, they are over 700% more likely to experience alcoholism and 1,200% more likely to attempt suicide? I can say this in a public budget hearing, but school officials have told me they don't want to say that in a classroom. Plus, APS, it doesn't have a public health mandate. The APS tiered system of supports only requires intervention for educational impact. If a student is learning and behaving, any mental health issue is officially not the school's problem. So if you rely on the wrong staff or reluctant staff to lead your ACEs campaign, it's dead on arrival. Finally, you have to get more serious about preventing institutional abuse that happens at schools, camps, daycares, sports leagues, churches, etc. For example, research shows that 10 to 17% of adults report having experienced sexual misconduct by school staff while a student, which equates to over 200 students a year in Arlington. But do you know how many cases are referred for prosecution here for child abuse that occurs outside of the home? One a year on average. Do you really believe that our current accountability systems are working? Do you really think the current funding level for your ACEs campaign is sufficient to address all these structural problems? Thank you.
Our next speaker is Bernard Byrne, followed by Carol Skelly, followed by Julie Lee.
Hello, this is Bernie Byrne, as you know me. Please restore the funding for the temporary park ranger position at the Bluemont Junction caboose. The caboose removed these funds from the budget, the county removed these funds from the budget during the COVID-19 emergency. The funds are not in the county's manager's FY 2025 budget proposal. The caboose is located in Bluemont Junction Park, south of Wilson Boulevard. It is near the WNOD Trail and a soccer field. Before the COVID emergency, a temporary park ranger kept the caboose open on weekend afternoons from Memorial Day to Labor Day. The caboose had many visitors, especially when the soccer field was in use. At those times, it probably had more visitors than any of the county's nature centers, which people are now asking you to fund. The caboose contains historical photographs and artifacts that I donated, as well as ones that park rangers obtained. These educational materials explain to the caboose, explain to the public the history of Arlington's railroads and trolleys, including the WNOD Railroad. The rangers and volunteers who were present at the time also explained this history. These materials are no longer available to the public. I cannot volunteer to keep the caboose open because DPR requires a paid employee to be present when facilities are open to the public. As a result, a sign now present on the WNOD Trail announces the times that the caboose will be open next summer. Well, the caboose will actually be closed if you do not fund the ranger position. This is not very good public relations. The ranger position requires a full-time, part of a full-time equivalent, FTE, but only a small amount of funding. You can replace this funding by reducing the funds available for the DPR's mowing contractors, who needly destroy an excessive amount of natural areas in the county's parks. As the county has ended the COVID-19 emergency, please restore the ranger position's funding. I really don't look forward to coming up and asking asking you this each year while the caboose remains closed. So please restore the funding this year. It's not much. Unfortunately, I can't tell you the number, the dollar amount, because I don't really know what it is with overhead and everything else. But please restore the funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Carol Skelly, followed by Julie Lee.
Good evening, Madam Chair and board members. I'm speaking on 3 items related to the county's budget for adults with developmental disabilities and children. The first is to support the CSB's request for 2 additional frontline support coordinators. The cost of these positions is projected as $258,000, but 70% of that cost will be reimbursed by Medicaid. So the net cost to the county is just over $75,000. The developmental disability, or DD, client base has increased by 25% over the past 7 years, with no increase in support coordinators. The average number of clients per caseworker is now 35, which is well above the national standard of 25 to 28. Even more significant to this issue is the recent action by the legislature to add an unprecedented number of new DD waiver slots to eliminate the high-need statewide Priority 1 waiting list. This is something that families and advocates have been pushing for many years. The legislature's action, which was not known at the time that the county budget was being prepared, will roughly double the number of new waiver cases coming into DD services over the next 2 years. The second request is for the restoration of the 2 behavior intervention, or BIS, positions. I hope you read the letter that I sent you about this. BIS is a highly specialized and intensive intervention that requires consistency across a child's environments. BIS specialists help families manage their children's severe behaviors. Their assistance goes well beyond the capacity of APS's 5 behavior specialists, who serve a much higher number of children and target only behaviors at school. I'm speaking from personal experience when I say that the consequences of denying families intensive behavior services are dire and may well lead to higher costs in the future for the care of adults who missed out on this program as children. And third, I want to thank you for your strong support of expanding county facilities for adult day engagement and training. 1 new program is opened. I think you've all visited it. And there are 2 additional programs on the table. As the county works to meet the rising demand, advocates are asking you to prioritize community integration by placing these programs in locations that are community-facing and walkable to retail, volunteer, and recreational opportunities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker is Julie Lee, followed by Nida Miras.
I won't mince words. Director Kresh and Manager Schwartz should be ashamed to propose eliminating the full-time manager at Glen Carlin Library. It's ludicrous to believe that minimal impact will be felt by the public, their words, while so little savings will be found in a billion-dollar budget. Who will suffer? Who will be burdened? Who will be left behind? Why, certainly the communities served by Glen Carlin Branch, where the needs are greatest and the issues complicated. In addition to our community, Glen Carlin Library serves Arlington Mill, Barcroft, and many of the communities along the Pike, some of the most underserved in our county. As mentioned, the library is within walking distance of Carlin Springs and Campbell Elementary Schools and Kenmore Middle School. Carlin Springs Elementary has the highest percentage of English learners, students on free and reduced lunch, and food insecure families in the entire county. Kenmore parents are part of the group battling the effects of drug addiction among their children, and they are here begging for increased funding for after-school activities. The communities served by Cherrydale and Glen Carlin branches could not be more different. Glen Carlin needs a full full-time manager to increase programs and to provide services and opportunities for the families and the communities that need it, that it can serve. Glen Carlin has a team of volunteers who are working hard, scheduling programs. Carlin Springs Elementary has asked us to partner on a summer reading program. One of your members has suggested that we offer tutoring for Kenmore students in our library. We volunteer our time and we work for free, but we need a full-time branch manager. How can Director Kresh believe that it is cost-effective to eliminate a full-time manager to save $73,000 in the coming year? You direct decisions to be made with the equity lens. So again, I ask, who will be burdened by this cut? Who will be left behind? For years, Glen Carlin has suffered budget cuts, cuts in hours, cuts in book collection, and cuts in staffing, and South Arlington communities continue to be neglected. Glen Carlin branch needs more funding, not less. We need more books and the shelves to put them on, and we need a full-time manager to supervise and to advocate for the needs of our branch and our communities. We need more community outreach so people know what Glen Carlin Library has to offer, more support from the administration at Central and from you. Visit Glen Carlin branch, see the possibilities. With our space and our location, we can serve our county. Fully fund the Glen Carlin branch manager position and let Glen Carlin be the focus of library programming and services.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Nida Mears, followed by Sonia Jackson.
Hello. I appreciate the opportunity to speak at this forum, and I appreciate all the great things Arlington County government is doing for its citizens. I must, though, take exception to this proposed FY25 budget. The proposal increases the county budget by 4.7%. Now, the Federal Reserve has a goal to keep inflation at 2% in the United States. Inflation is actually around 3%. Arlington County should not be increasing its spending at a rate more than double the target rate of inflation. It should not be increasing its spending at a rate of 1.5 times the actual rate of inflation. Increasing spending above inflationary levels is not acceptable or sustainable. Moreover, the increased spending by the Arlington County government is projected to have an impact of a 4.7% increase in taxes and fees on Arlington residents. Then, planning another increase in the real estate tax rate is a double whammy on residents. That is just not acceptable. Households are still trying to absorb rampant inflation in food and housing. Energy bills are skyrocketing, and credit card debt has reached an all-time high. A suggestion for budget reduction to bring it in line with revenues is in the area of housing grants and assistance funded by county taxpayers. This is not typically a responsibility of local governments. In its housing grant study published in February, Arlington County could only point to a couple of other local governments in the entire United States where this is done, that being Portland, Oregon, and Chicago. Housing assistance programs are typically federal and state-funded programs, yet the county expanded this program in FY24 and proposes to expand it even more in FY25, and is even contemplating ways to skirt Virginia law to offer housing grants to people who are not lawfully in the United States at the expense of Arlington County taxpayers and at the expense of funding other important competing programs, such as the ones we've heard about here tonight. I urge Arlington County to revisit its proposed budget to reduce burden on the majority of its taxpayers when they are struggling to pay the bills. This is not a time to increase funding of programs and services that are not typically locally funded. Residents should not get hit at 3 different levels of taxation for housing assistance programs. Thank you.
The next speaker is Sonia Jackson, followed by Simon DeGrout.
Hi, my name is Sonia Jackson. I'm the Director of Personal Training, and I'm here to ask the county board members to please consider keeping the personal training program. Before I speak further, I would like to introduce some of our staff. We have Ronald Black. He's the Assistant Director of Personal Training and has worked for the county over 13 years, and he's an Arlington County resident. We have Joe Tryon. He is one of our trainers that has been with us over 8 years, and he's an Arlington County resident. Megan Galvin. She is one of our trainers also and has been with us almost a year. And then we have Yaqua Brooks, one of our trainers, and he has been with us the longest, over 15 years. Our trainers are the backbone of our program. In order to move our program forward, we need to add to our additional staff, a dedicated staff. The personal training program is limited by staffing issues similar to other programs in the county, as you heard earlier today, which decreases our potential impact on the community, such as with mental health, aging in place, educational opportunities, and more. Arlington County has a vast number of resources and opportunities. A common issue is that most people are not aware of these resources or not educated on how to use these said resources to benefit their health. Cutting programs such as the personal training program is symptomatic of this problem at large. The personal training program walks in multiple circles, and we serve a wide range of Arlington County teens, middle age, seniors. We even work with the Healthy Living Program, which is part of DHS. There are very few programs within Arlington County that have the potential to reach and assist in solving the current and future issues in Arlington County, such as increasing fitness memberships. All of our clients have to pay a membership in order to pay for personal training. That's an increase in fitness memberships. AFS, Hygiene Week, Ronald and I will be participating in that. APS, conditioning, youth sports conditioning program that we would like to start. High school internships, APS, indoor-outdoor participation in parks through educational YouTube videos, Healthy Living Program, DHS. We have also presented the county board with members with numbers on how we can become cost neutral in fiscal year 25 without doubling the fees as suggested during the work session this afternoon. We thank all of the county board members for reviewing our information, and we ask that you please consider maintaining our program and current staff and allow us to hire additional part-time, temporary, and/or contractors to move our program forward, be successful in assisting the Arlington County community. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Simon DeGrout, followed by Natalie Roy and Max Ewert.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Thank you. So my name is Simon DeGroot, and I've lived in Arlington County for over 40 years. I'm here this evening to protest the relentless process of death by 1,000 cuts that the county continues to inflict on our public libraries. Specifically, I object to the current proposal to replace dedicated managers at the Cherrydale and Glen Carlin branches with a shared manager. I also want to voice my concern about the bookshelves at the Glen Carlin branch that were removed last year because after years of neglect, it was suddenly discovered their condition represented a danger to library patrons. Despite our own efforts and the support of board member Susan Cunningham, we've been unable to obtain any indication as to when replacement bookshelves will be installed, if ever. It is symptomatic of the county's commitment to its public libraries that we're even talking about such a fundamental element as library bookshelves. In my 40-plus years in Arlington, I've heard a stream of rhetoric about the county's commitment to world-class education and excellence in community services. The numbers, however, tell a very different story. For example, the 4 branches with the fewest hours open per week in Northern Virginia are all here in Arlington County. The average number of hours open per week per branch in Arlington is 54. In both Alexandria and Fairfax County, it's 58 hours a week. The documents that have been distributed relative to the budget that we're discussing this evening indicate the county plans to allocate 1% of next year's budget to the library system. The actual number, when you do the math, is 0.8%. That's literally less than half of the percentage Alexandria allocates to libraries in its budget. There, it's 1.9%. And all this, of course, is in the context of a county board that is happy to budget $63 million for a new swimming pool and $153 million for a sweetheart deal to bring Amazon to town. So don't tell me the money isn't there. What's missing is the commitment and the values that drive that commitment. My time is just about up, but I would ask you this. Adjust your budget so that it reflects a genuine commitment to world-class education and excellence in community services. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Natalie Roy, followed by Max Ewert.
Good evening, Arlington County Board. I'm Natalie Roy, a 33-year resident of Lyon Park and a candidate for the Arlington County Board. According to the county's 2023 analysis of Arlington County homebuyer programs, the county has underfunded homeowner assistance programs between fiscal year 2018 to fiscal year 2022. The county's homeowner assistance programs assisted approximately 12 prospective homebuyers per year in a county with more than 110,000 households. For a county claiming to be a national leader on housing, this is window dressing. Instead of investing in the community, the county opted to invest in developers with a density program that relies on the charity of the private sector to build affordable housing. This does not pass the straight face test. I will note that the Goodwill Affordable Housing Project, which I support, will produce more affordable housing than the developer-driven EHO program ever will. In 2024, we are facing tough budget decisions. The county has increased most residents' real estate assessments and is now weighing a major tax rate increase. Here's just a few ways that Arlington can make better choices to be more efficient and help more residents across the county. One, if the county has limited money to help first-time home buyers, we should consider moving money from training programs and staff and into existing county programs that actually provide down payment assistance to potential middle-income first-time home buyers. Two, the county needs to pause its misguided expanded housing options EHO density program, which has nothing to do with affordability or diversity. Currently, the county is being sued by 10 residents because, among other things, the county did not do its due diligence in studying the impacts of the EHO program on the environment, infrastructure, schools, parking, and emergency services. To shore up Arlington's in-house legal team, the county contracted with an expensive outside law firm to help defend itself against its own residents. In the first 2 months, according to FOIA records, this outside law firm has charged the county almost $75,000 to assist the county lawyers with doing their jobs. Why I understand this is a drop in the county's $1.62 billion budget. Every dollar is important. These are funds that could have helped 2 new homeowners with down payment assistance, helped a senior resident stay in their home, and keep a nature center or library staffed and open full-time. And it could have increased vital after-school programs. And 3, the county needs to reevaluate costly outsourcing throughout the county government and seek instead to rely on qualified staff members. County offices should be fully open and staffed and should respond live to phone calls during business hours. This could be done by rotating staff through in-person and virtual service shifts and call forwarding. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Max Ewert, followed by Gail Perry.
Sorry. Good evening, County Board members and County Manager. My name is Max Ewert. I'm an Associate Planner with the Department of Parks and Recreation. and I'm here tonight speaking in my capacity as a union member of AFSCME Local 3001, the representative union for Arlington County workers, who work diligently to provide essential services for Arlington County. We stand firmly in opposition of the proposal to create a new two-tiered retirement system that would force new employees hired after January 1st, 2025 from the existing 457 plan and into a 401 plan that would fluctuate with the stock market. To this point, this has been framed as a positive for county employees. This would attract new employees to the county who do not plan to make a 30-year career here. In our view, the existing retirement plan is what makes Arlington County an attractive employer. We should want to incentivize people to work for the county longer, not gut a benefit to appease potential employees who do not want to invest time in the county. There are several reasons why we stand against the proposed system. One, creating a two-tier system could pit employees against each other, making an antagonistic relationship between employees with a pension and those without. Number two, we do not want to incentivize layoffs and buyouts of senior workers who have invested time in the county. A retirement plan that is more expensive for senior staff than it is for junior ones would push the county in this direction if hard decisions need to be made. Number three, the proposed plan is simply not as good. At the current rate of 1.7% per year of service, an employee who retires after 30 years with the county would earn a pension equal to 51% of their average final salary. At the proposed new rate of 1%, an employee who retires after 30 years would earn equal to 30% of their average final salary. And number four, we should be trying to find ways to retain employees for a longer time, not a shorter one. Retention is a big issue right now, and it is particularly noticeable in the human services and behavioral health staff. We have heard from employees who are unable to take their lunch or required breaks and are not afforded the level of flexibility as other departments and divisions within the county when it comes to being able to work from home specifically. Focusing on retention would improve the working conditions of employees and create an environment that would attract people to come work in the county. Ultimately, our request is for the county board to approve a budget that does not include changes to the retirement system. There are many ways to improve our retirement plan, but creating a two-tiered system will not benefit the folks who make this county work. Let's retain and work together to improve on what exists. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Gail Perry, followed by Audrey Clement.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Gail Perry, and I'm here on behalf of Voice. I recently heard on WTOP radio that Arlington County, Virginia, is the 7th wealthiest county in the United States. As a community, our greatest treasures are our children. Since the beginning of the pandemic in 2019, our children have endured psychological, emotional, physical, and educational struggles, and the deeply felt sense of isolation that many adults have never known. Since then, the stresses of recovery have been so difficult that many of our children have resorted to the use of drugs, including the deadly use of fentanyl, to ease their pain, regardless of the source of their distress. For other young people, their futures appear bleak at best, so that they may resort to criminal activities to address the basic financial needs within their own families. And finally, death also has taken some of our children in school. The Arlington County community prides itself on excellence in government and its school system. A request for $2 million doesn't seem like much to ask to provide our children and youth in middle and high schools with after-school activities, including sports and opportunities to learn skills that prepare each student for our technological future free of charge, regardless of a family's ability to pay. Arlington sees itself as a progressive community. Let's care and prepare all of our children for the future that we all envision. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Audrey Clement, followed by McCoy Kaufman.
To the county manager, I'm the independent candidate for county board. The county's budget process is based on wants rather than needs. For example, at a county board work session on March 22nd, the county manager announced, quote, "I brought in a budget that was balanced without a tax rate increase." End of quote. So why is he proposing a 1.5 cent tax rate increase? He says it's to fund key initiatives consistent with the board's budget guidance. Of an estimated $13.5 million in additional taxes, the lion's share goes to housing programs. While the 2015 Affordable Housing Master Plan is given as justification for the bloated housing budget, its projections are obsolescent. The forecast that quantified future countywide housing demand was updated by a 2020 needs analysis produced by researchers at George Mason. But the new forecast was based on the same set of outdated assumptions about housing preferences in Northern Virginia that pre-existed pre-pandemic times. There's a $3 million amount in the budget for housing grants and $1.4 million for eviction relief to compensate for the loss of federal COVID money. If COVID is over, where is the need to continue funding these programs at the same level? Why was $15 million sufficient for AHIF in fiscal year 2024, but $20 million is the new baseline going forward? Why has Barcroft Apartments debt service suddenly ballooned from $5.2 million to $7 million? The budget doesn't estimate the number of moderate income homeowners who will be driven out of the county due to the $500 minimum increase in their annual tax and fee burden. Nor does it explain why it's equitable to put some residents out of their homes in order to provide housing for others. No doubt the impetus for the bloated housing budget was provided by the YIMBYs of Northern Virginia, who, along with other gimme groups like Voice, most of whose leadership live outside the county, dominate the county's annual budget charade. After adoption of the county's EHO ordinance in 2023, for which they had aggressively lobbied, these gimme groups acknowledged that missing middle is actually unaffordable to moderate income residents. The YIMBYs and Voice then seized on taxpayer-subsidized AHIF grants as the solution to their followers' demand for affordable housing. County Board, ever mindful of the need to satisfy gimme groups, has obliged. Among the problems with this squeaky wheel approach to spending is that taxpayers get gouged. It's up and out for those who can't afford it. Thank you.
Our next speaker is McCoy Kaufman, followed by Joan McIntyre.
Good evening. My name is McCoy Kaufman, and I'm here on behalf of Voice to ask for $2 million in support of affordable, accessible, and high-quality after-school care for students. I'm a leader with Arlington's St. George's Episcopal Church, where I'm part of also the young adult group. I wasn't in my teens too long ago, as my mustache may betray. And that's why it's important to me to talk about youth mental health. There's a crisis that we're facing nationally and also in Arlington. A recent survey was conducted and found that 1 in 5 youth in America between the ages of 12 and 17 have experienced major depressive disorder in the past year. And Voice has listened to Arlingtonians, listened to students, 250 of them, and heard that they're dealing with the exact same struggles. This could be due to a variety of reasons: screen time, worries about climate change, gun violence, and it's all exacerbated by easy access to drugs, especially those laced with fentanyl. We thank the staff for taking that seriously. We've seen that there's been allocation of funding in the fiscal year 2025 for intervention and investments in education. But more money needs to be spent in order to help these students. Intervention's great, but prevention gets ahead of that. With prevention, we don't need to worry about the intervening on students' lives. What we're promoting is a program that we see across America and also around us in the DMV. We know it's doable because we've seen it happen around us. And it's a big opportunity. It could attract teachers. It could be an opportunity for partnership with local organizations like Amazon, Marymount University, and other groups that would like to mentor youth. This is an opportunity for youth to come together, to learn new skills, to develop self-esteem, for confidence, to look for better opportunities than maybe drug use, especially the dangerous drugs like we've already talked about. This is really important, as we've heard this from countless students, and you've heard many stories today. So we ask that you would develop a budget that would value the lives of our students. As we know is very important, let's create a budget that demonstrates that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Joan McIntyre, followed by Alice Hogan.
Good evening. I'm Joan McIntyre, Chair of the Climate Change, Energy, and Environment Commission. While we did not have a quorum to finalize our budget letters, my comments reflect consensus. I'd also note it largely reflects those views of EcoAction Arlington as well. To address the climate change, Arlington County needs to be a leader in phasing out fossil fuels and advancing carbon neutrality, both in its own operations and facilitating efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the private sector. The budget should, but does not reflect the urgency and lacks the transparency to assess overall progress in achieving county climate goals. Progress is being made on rooftop solar and expanding transition to electric vehicles, but the budget sheds little light on comprehensive progress in decarbonizing county operations. How will the 9 facility projects in design or construction advance decarbonization? Are opportunities being missed? What progress is being made in transitioning non-sedan vehicles to EVs? A publicly available inventory of county energy use, fuel sources, and schedules for replacements and building renovations is needed to build a timeline for decarbonizing building operations in the fleets that can then be reflected in the budget and CIP. In addition, more comprehensive metrics are needed for tracking progress that convey both how far we've come and how far we need to go. County spending to advance its CEP goals community-wide continues to lag. The proposed budget of the AIR team, which is primarily responsible for public outreach, remains below the FY15 budget. The $1 million added to the Climate Action Fund is welcome, but if spent over 3 years, as the first tranche has been, these funds are minimal compared to the challenge. All these funds should be spent in FY25, with most allocated to develop and expand programs to educate, encourage, and incentivize the private sector, with priority given to assist low and moderate income residents and advance workforce training. The proposed reduction of service to low-performing art routes is regrettable but understandable. The proposed study for a microtransit pilot is a step in the right direction, and the county should ensure that this study is adequately funded to address broader reconceptualization of our transportation infrastructure, including meeting some of APS transportation goals. Finally, we support the proposed funding for tree maintenance, invasive removals, and VCE, and encourage the county board to fund expanded hours for the nature centers. Let's make 2024 the year that puts Arlington on an accelerated path to phase out fossil fuels and meets the climate carbon neutrality goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Alice Hogan, followed by Luz Tubar.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Alice Hogan. I'm with the Navajo Arlington Housing Alliance. It's good to be with you this evening. Thank you all for your hard work bringing about this budget. We know that stable housing is the foundation for a stable life for individuals of all ages and for our county's children. Sufficient supply of housing at all income levels is a crucial component of a community's infrastructure and directly impacts our economic viability in the county. In light of a very tight budget year that also includes many cuts, we want to say thank you. Thank you for $110 million overall for housing funding. Thank you for $20.5 million for the AHIF fund, the highest amount ever thus far. Housing grants, again, an increase to $15 million. Permanent supportive housing also increased to 5.7, where 382 enriched affordable units will be supported. Eviction prevention, trying to replace the federal funds that are disappearing. Thank you for pushing forward with that. And continuing our efforts to keep our CAFs in excellent condition with the inspections program, and for your continued commitment to affordability at the Barcroft Apartments. These are amazing commitments, and yet we know that nothing ever hits the mark. We note the need for the following. The planning division staff, we cannot afford to lose 2 planners at this time with land use under so much pressure in the county. We can think of the East Falls Church, Langston Boulevard, Pentagon City, and the list goes on. We need those planners and more, much not to lose, but actually to gain. The AHIF, $2.5 million, the largest we've ever seen, and yet it's still only half of what we need each year to achieve our 2015 goals, which were based on 2014 data a full 10 years ago. And so we ask you to continue to look for money to help us produce the units and preserve the units so that we don't continue to spend money on rental assistance, but we have that foundation in our supply. Navajo and Arlington, we fully support the 1.5 cent increase in the tax rate, and we actually ask you to consider the full 2.5 increase. Imagine using this as a dedicated funding stream to finally establish a baseline of funding for the AHIF fund. We have never had that, and there's no base guarantee. It's always subject to every current year budget. If we did that one full penny, that would be $9 million to stabilize that fund on an annual basis. And some of those new funds could be helped to support Arlington's commitment, hopefully, to a 10% of all CAFs being affordable at 30% AMI. Thank you for your commitment.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Luz Tubar, followed by Tia Alfred.
Hello, my name's Luz, and I'm part of La Colectiva. Here I'm part of the Defund Nova Police, advocating to defer funding from policing, to stop funding the deportation and criminalization of our community, and advocate those funding for affordable housing, especially to the housing grant. I believe Legal Aid Justice Center sent a report advocating for the legal removal of present, and also we're advocating to remove the 30-hour requirement, which will open the housing grant to many communities who need that support, especially since in Barcroft, there's only going to be a 10% affordable units. And we did a survey with ACE back in 2022, where 10%, it's not enough. There's going to be a lot of community members who are going to get deported. We're already seeing that, as you all witnessed on Saturday's meeting, which is why we're, if those 2 requirements were to be accepted, then that will open the housing grant to many, which would need more funding, which is why we're advocating for more funding for the housing grant. And also more funding for mental and health care, as many folks spoke today. More funds for education, increasing, especially for special education, and also for libraries, our environment, and in support of the housing, and in support of the programs for after school. I actually benefited from a lot of the programs here in Arlington. I grew up here, one of the late 90s kids, and the after school programs really made an impact, as my mom worked 2 to 3 jobs. And the challenges, as well as having my brother very sick with cancer. So those programs really made an impact in my life. And the school as well, which is like the teachers, the counselor really advocated, which is why I like to organize as well. But I believe this will benefit the community into safety. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Tia Alfred, followed by Tom O'Reilly.
Good evening. My name is Tia Alfred, and I am a native of Arlington. The budget is a reflection of priorities, and I'm here to ask two things. To take a look at how Parks and Rec ran years ago and replicate that with a modern-day spin. As a child, I was able to attend summer camp in the Langston Community Center in my Halls Hill neighborhood and participate in fun activities and outings. And during the school year, there was youth programming for the different age groups. There was no wait list or exorbitant fees associated with any of our programs back then. These days, sometimes my son can't even get into the community center or other offerings due to one hurdle or another. And teen night typically ends before the scheduled time. Over spring break, there were a few different camps offered, but at approximately $500 for the week, and with more than one child per household, that can get expensive for some families, even with the fee reduction option, and there's also having to be waitlisted. Over winter break, my son and his friends waited for the community center to open at 3 p.m., only to get told they couldn't use the gym until 6 p.m. because it was reserved for seniors for the first 3 hours once it finally opened for the day. Some other kids left. Mine were told they could only use the game room. I personally went inside and saw that basically the gym wasn't even being used and had maybe 3 to 4 people standing around. Approximately an hour later, maybe 5 to 7 more seniors came in, and then they appeared to be ready to actually use the gym, all while the youth were crammed in the game room, plus the gym wasn't halved for multi-use to maybe even share the space. Today's generation is in crisis and needs your commitment to help them out. So I ask for no fee increases this budget cycle, as families most in need can't always afford to pay the current fees. And also, you need to bring back youth programming at all centers. The other ask is for $2 million to be placed in the after-school programming line item to ensure high-quality programs for our youth that includes necessary transportation and with no fees. It's necessary to take care of our seniors, but our youth need the same level of importance placed on their needs. They are, after all, our future, and the time is now to invest in them. I'd like to request more equity in the programming, and please do your part in making today's youth a priority. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your next speaker is Tom O'Reilly, followed by John Vysted.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm Tom O'Reilly. I'm here with the Faith Alliance for Climate Solutions, the Arlington Hub. We are a faith-based organization that advocates for climate solutions within our congregations. We are driven by the moral imperative to address climate change. First off, we wish to congratulate the county on achieving the LEED Platinum certification for community. That was a great job, Mr. Manager. And also the 23% reduction in energy usage since 2009. Great steps forward towards climate actions. While these present good work, we cannot stay at this level as the world and local climate continues to get worse and be impacted by carbon emissions. The world today requires that we continue to aggressively reduce our carbon footprint while dedicating resources to those underserved communities who are most impacted by the climate. The proposed budget mainly stays the course on our environmental and climate efforts. Overall, it's a functional plan to keep the government operations running, with the main acknowledgement of climate change impacts being the increased attention to stormwater management. Any organization's budget is its clearest statement of priorities and policies. The county budget should reflect the county's stated policy of a whole-of-government approach. I'm going to skip a bunch right there because I ran out of time quickly. We believe there are a few areas where the county that would help the county serve the community and provide clarity to the community. Every action of the county should be weighed on a climate basis and needs to be identified so we can change or celebrate those actions as appropriate. The annual budget, the CIP, any elements of the county master plan should include evaluations of climate impact on all significant expenditures. We also believe that the county should take a more active and visible role in working with the public on sustainability and resiliency issues, particularly for our underserved communities. The proposed budget cut in the AIR program should be restored, and those resources be dedicated for communities with legitimate needs for safer, more efficient, and healthier homes. Many in our community have the ability to take steps to increase the efficiency and make their homes safer. Many others do not. So a collaborative effort should be established, perhaps including public health, DHS, DP planning, to identify these underserved communities, provide planning and outreach and technical expertise to assist those communities in combating the efforts of changing climate. I sent this to you by mail earlier today, so you'll have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is John Weisstadt, followed by Danielle Jones.
Hello, everybody. We're almost done this evening. Chair Garvey, Vice Chair Karantonis, and board members. I'm John Weisstadt, former county board member, and importantly tonight, a community member of the Audit Committee. However, I speak only for myself. I urge you to reject the county manager's proposed staffing reductions in this critically important independent fiscal oversight function. A little background. The independent auditor function was implemented in 2015 after extraordinary efforts by Chair Garvey, myself, Advocacy by the Civic Federation, and especially Arlington General Assembly Delegate Patrick Hope, who patroned the enabling legislation in Richmond. This bill was unanimously voted on and approved by the General Assembly. Think about that happening with just about anything, and it doesn't happen very often. And it was signed into law by Governor McAuliffe in the spirit of bipartisan comedy. Despite only one county auditor position since inception, the county auditor function has resulted in value added through cost savings and performance audits ranging from public safety overtime to the county's vehicle fleet management and more. Finally, after 6 years of flying solo, the county auditor's office was authorized by the county board 2 years ago to hire 2 additional audit positions so that capacity could be strengthened and a growing audit backlog addressed. Unfortunately, these positions have yet to be filled, but now is not the time to freeze or defund them. First, reducing the independent audit function would send a troubling signal that this county board does not have confidence in its own essential accountability responsibility over county programs. Second, any reduction could harm recruitment efforts to fill the top position, which you're about to undertake right now. And third, it makes no sense to reduce this office when we have both a record budget and a record number of county employees. The Department of Management and Finance internal and contracted audit functions, as strong as they are no substitute, and those resources have barely grown in recent years. Say yes to independence, oversight, and accountability. Say no to the manager's self-serving proposal to kneecap the county auditor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Danielle Jones, followed by Karen Guevara. Oh, is that mic off? Hold on, your mic is off.
You push there's a button to push. You got it. She got it. We're good.
Is that it?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Technology.
We're good.
Good evening. My name is Danielle Jones. I am a citizen of Arlington County, a dedicated APS educator, and a proud member and vice president of the Arlington Education Association, our school systems union. Tonight, I am here to talk about how Arlington County's inadequate funding affects Arlington Public Schools employees. According to the Economic Policy Institute, a living wage for a single childless adult in Arlington is about $60,000 a year. Sadly, there are 8 education support professional grades in APS that don't make a living wage for more than 5 steps or at least 5 years. 8 take more than 10 steps. 6 take more than 15 steps, and 4 take more than 20 steps. But the most unconscionable thing is that 21 grades on the support scales never make a living wage. When the county board does not adequately fund our schools, APS cannot justly compensate its workers. This means bus drivers and attendants are starting their day at 7 a.m. and often finishing their day after 9 p.m. because their low salaries force them to take sports and activity team runs, not to get ahead, but mostly to keep afloat. One job should be enough. Extended day workers who already work crazy hours, starting early in the morning and then returning for their second shift after school and working into the evening, feel the need to pick up shift as lunchroom attendants to try to balance their budgets. One job should be enough. Cafeteria workers arrive early to feed our children breakfast and then move on to second jobs after lunch because many of their jobs don't even provide benefits, and none of them will ever make a living wage. One job should be enough. Finally, I, as an instructional assistant with nearly 20 years of experience in education, do not make a living wage. I should be coaching speech and debate just because I love it, which I do. Not because a few thousand extra dollars I make for my many, many hours of coaching means that I generally can pay my bills, unless something unforeseen comes up. One job should be enough. Arlington County enacted and enforces a living wage policy for county contractors, though I would argue that you really need to rethink the amount as it is decidedly not an amount that allows for a living wage. You need to make sure that the amount the county allocates for our schools allows APS to pay all of its employees a living wage as well. We, APS's ESPs, are the ones who make sure our county's children arrive safely at school, have healthy meals, have clean and well-maintained schools, and ensure our most vulnerable students are able to access a meaningful education. We work hard and pour our hearts into our jobs, make a budget and allocate an amount that allows us to live a life of dignity. As a side note, paying APS educational support professionals a living wage would realize savings in many of the social support programs budgets talked about this evening. It's a win-win. More money for needed programs in Arlington and a dignified life for APS employees. Please vote to fund APS at a level that allows it to pay a living wage to all staff, because one job should be enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Final speaker is Karen Guevara.
Hi, good evening, esteemed county board members, county manager, and hardworking staff. My name is Karen Guevara. I'm here on behalf of the Equanimity Foundation. First, I would like to thank you for the long days and nights you spend here listening to community members. In a constrained budget environment, I don't envy the tough choices you have to make. Today, I stand before you to urge you to consider 3 priorities that I believe are intertwined. First, youth programming for underserved community members. Second, affordable housing for those living at 30% AMI. And third, preserving our green spaces in places like the former Lee Center. Some may consider these 3 things I've enumerated as competing priorities, but they are not. Supporting the most vulnerable community members and being good stewards of the environment reflects on our society as a whole. To be more specific, for youth programming, we need to invest in our youth in programs that are creative, artistic, trauma-informed, and open a world of possibilities to careers like diplomacy, or perhaps to programs like the neighborhood college, where we tell them about commissions, and they can learn, and we can make them more diverse and inclusive. We could also, for affordable housing, we need to make additional funds available for AHIV and appropriations above the current proposal, and truly making rents affordable to those living at 30% AMI. For green spaces and climate change, we need to uphold our climate commitments, fund nature centers, and preserve limited green spaces we have, like the one at the former Lee Center. The intersection between how much people, and students in particular, interact outdoors and in nature and climate justice is important, particularly for students from underserved communities who often do not have an opportunity to have an outdoor environment that fosters comfort, curiosity, and creativity. We should have more open green spaces for students to plant a garden as an activity to learn about native plants and to inspire them to take care of our planet. You've heard from so many people tonight, but one thing I can tell you is that investing in communities pays off. Arlington County invested in me. I grew up in South Arlington and graduated from Wakefield High School as an underserved community member. Yet today, I stand here before you as a planning commissioner, as someone who worked at the United Nations State Department, where I had the privilege of representing the US in Botswana, Germany, and other places, and also as an Arlington business owner. As you make your budget deliberations, I hope you take into consideration my remarks and the remarks of my community members. And so I want to thank you for your time, and there's some tough decisions I had. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And that's our final speaker?
Yes.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. It's great to have everybody. Thanks for many of you stayed the whole evening. I do want to thank everybody for coming. I think, as I said earlier, which some of you all may not have all been here, we will hold a public hearing on Thursday as well, and that's at 7 p.m., and that's on the proposed tax rates, fee changes, and code amendments. So if you want to talk about the tax rate or the fees, Thursday is the night to do it. But at the moment, we are going to close this hearing. So, colleagues, I would like to move that we close the public hearing on the fiscal year 2025 proposed budget and to carry over action to the April 20, 2024 County Board meeting beginning at 9 a.m. Is there a second? Second. Motion has been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. 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 Thank you. All right, so this public hearing is closed for this year. And we still welcome more feedback if you'd like. Send emails in. Continue to talk to us. But for the moment, the board is adjourned. Thank you all. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Hey, John. I'm good. How are you? Good to see you.